Hello! First of all, I apologize. I know this series is a little bit late. This is one of the ones that I just kind of I went wild. I put in way more effort than I really needed to on this, but we're talking about Kesha today. So, Kesha is a Pisces sun, a Pisces moon, and a Sagittarius rising, which I feel like the Sag rising is so apparent, not only in her style, but also just the fact that she has no filter. Also, before we start, just so you know, this series is going to have a lot of legal stuff in it. I'm going to break it down the best I can for us to all understand, but I am not a lawyer, and it's probably going to take me a while, so this is going to be a longer series. Okay, so March of 1987, Kesha was born in LA, and she said that her mom was kind of a hippie, and she really wanted a Pisces kid, so she made that shit happen. So it's sort of a Donna from Mamma Mia situation, multiple men, who's the father, except they don't really care who the father is. And supposedly Kesha's mom actually had people over for a baby shower, and then she went into labor and had Kesha at that baby shower. And then Kesha had to be left with her mom's friend while her mom went to the hospital because obviously she had just popped out a kid in the middle of a party. She was also actually born with a tail, which I find so interesting. Like, the concept of people being born with tails is a very interesting phenomenon. And she has two brothers. There's one of them right there. And her mom, PB, was a singer-songwriter. She wrote a song called Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You. Keep that name in your mind. But that song ended up being sang by Dolly Parton, by Johnny Cash, by Merle Haggard, so famous. And obviously, Kesha's father was not present. Her mom didn't really want the man, she just wanted the kid. But life was hard as a single mother, and for Kesha and her brothers as children of a single mother. They were on food stamps, and at one point, Kesha's mom even told her, apparently, that if you want something from Target, you're gonna have to steal it. In 1991, when Kesha was 4, they moved to Nashville because her mom got a songwriting deal. And her mom also definitely noticed that Kesha had a real knack for singing and definitely worked with her to improve her singing and songwriting as well. Plus, she and her brothers were at the studio with their mom a lot because she's a single mother, so they really got exposure to the music industry at a very early age. Now, Kesha has said that she was definitely not popular in high school. I think she would have started high school around 2001, but people thought she was kind of weird. And we also find out that she may have been a purple bitch because we know at one point her hair was dyed purple, and she also had some purple velvet pants that she made herself, which I think sounds very stylish personally, very much Bratz doll vibes. But in high school, nothing that's really cool is cool, so people weren't into it. She was also in the marching band. She played trumpet and saxophone, and so you would think that maybe she had friends in band, because usually at schools I feel like band is a very tight-knit group, but she said that they were bitches, so she was really on her own. So another little tidbit that we know about Kesha from high school was that she once stole her mom's minivan and drove to a Radiohead show, so she's always been Kesha, basically, is what I'm saying. She also wrote her song Steven in high school when she was only 16. Basically, she said that this dude, Steven, she was obsessed with him. She always wanted to get his attention, try and impress him, and he really did not give a shit about her, even though he was kind of a bum, kind of a loser, which we've all been there. We've all gone cuckoo for no good reason. We've all been there, Kesha. It's okay. And also, that is a bop, so we knew she was destined for fame. Kesha has also talked about her mom's parenting style when she was in high school. Apparently, she was very chill. She was aware that she was going to experiment with drugs, with drinking, with sex, but she was really just about being safe, which I think is a good parenting style, I'll say it. And Kesha was also super smart, despite what her party persona might make you believe. She almost scored perfectly on her SATs, which, wow. And she was going to go to Barnard College, which is a part of the Columbia system, from what I gather. She was planning on studying psychology and comparative religion in college. And then in 2004, Kesha was on an episode of The Simple Life. Yes, The Simple Life. This is Paris Hilton Nicole Richie, and that is Kesha. So, Kesha was on an episode of The Simple Life, and according to Kesha, one day, while they were filming this, she gets a call from Dr. Luke, a famous producer. But Nicole Richie picks up the phone. And apparently Nicole immediately hung up on him, which, if you've ever seen The Simple Life, I can literally picture this in my mind right now happening, even though I don't think it was on the episode. Okay. Luckily, though, Dr. Luke did call back, and turns out he wanted to do a contract with Kesha. So now, on one hand, if you're Kesha, you can either go to college and study super hard, or you can sign with a famous producer who's telling you that you can make it big in the music industry. And also keep in mind that this producer, Dr. Luke, had already worked with Avril Lavigne, Katy Perry, Britney Spears. Like, what would you do? I would literally pass out and then say yes immediately. So a month before she finished high school, she actually dropped out and decided to move to LA and sign with Dr. Luke. Now, this is obviously not Kesha, it's Kelly Clarkson, but in November of 2004, Since You've Been Gone, an all-time jam, was released, and guess who worked on it with her? Dr. Luke. Anyways, Kelly Clarkson has since said that she did not like Dr. Luke, she does not feel like he's a good person, and she only had to work with him because her label made her. If only we had known that then. But we did not, and neither did Kesha. But this is just a side note. Then in 2005, right before she actually went off to LA, she gets a call from a possible father. And her mom said, yes, this could be him, and he happened to live in LA and offered to let Kesha stay with him, and so she said yes. Unfortunately, she said as soon as she met him, she was like, this is not my dad. You're not my dad. But she lived with him anyways because she was 18, she had no money, she had literally just gotten off the plane in LA, she had nowhere else to go. She did say, though, that she slept in her car quite a bit during this time because she just kind of felt weird that she was now living with a random man that was not her father, at least in her eyes. But she didn't have to stay with him too long because she actually ended up getting a boyfriend and moved in with him. Then in September 2005, Kesha officially signs with Dr. Luke, who, by the way, his name is actually Lukas Gottwald, and he's not really a doctor, of course. She was also working as a waitress at this point to try and make extra money, but she said she actually got fired multiple times from different jobs because she just got too emotional and couldn't handle angry customers. Oh, you little Pisces. I totally get it, though. But she definitely realized immediately with Dr. Luke that it was not all it was cracked up to be, or so she says. She said that he would brag about getting girls intoxicated and having sex with them, and telling her about how he was manipulating his wife into unaliving their unborn child. So those are red flags. So some other claims that Kesha has made about Dr. Luke, at least in the early days, was that he was emotionally abusive, body shaming her, and that he effectively did not give her her rightful money based on the contract that he forced her into, she says. But it got a lot worse because in October 2005, he allegedly R-worded her for the first time. So Kesha claims that he gave her what he was calling sober pills, but what was actually a date drug, something that is commonly slipped into people's drinks to render them unconscious. And the next day, according to Kesha, she woke up in his bed, completely naked, and feeling horrible. And she said she knew instantly what happened, and she called her mom to take her to the emergency room. So why did she keep working with him after this? Well, for one, she was under contract, but she says she was also very scared because he threatened to ruin her and ruin her family if she said anything. In January of 2006, Kesha signed with DAS Management, and the deal was that they would get her a major record label within 1 year, and then she would give them 20% of the profits. And some sources online say that she had very little contact with Dr. Luke during this time when she was with DAS Management, but she obviously still had some because her contract with Dr. Luke said that he had to be able to produce 6 songs off of any album that she did. August 28, 2006, Paris Hilton releases Nothing in This World, and guess who's doing backup vocals? Her old friend Kesha! Apparently afterwards, they went back to Paris's house and were partying, and Kesha got a little too inebriated. And she threw up in what she thought was a bathroom, but actually turned out to be Paris Hilton's closet. Yes, she threw up in Paris Hilton's closet. And apparently her and Paris didn't necessarily fight about it, but that was the end of the slight friendship that they had. Also in 2006, Kesha broke into Prince's house. Basically, she said she slid under the gate and a gardener who was walking by pulled her through for $5. And the door, wouldn't you know it, was unlocked. So she found him in his house, playing guitar, having a band practice, and she gave him one of her CDs and then immediately was thrown out, of course. March 30th of 2008, the Veronicas released This Love, which I love the Veronicas. They are my ringtone. And guess what? Another jam co-written by Kesha. Another jam released in 2008, I Kissed a Girl, Katy Perry, released in May, and Kesha was in the music video. So in 2008, Warner Bros. Actually wanted to sign with Kesha, but she couldn't because she had a contract with Dr. Luke. She did decide, however, to ditch DAS Management in September of 2008 and go back just fully with Dr. Luke. Also in the fall of 2008, Kesha sang backup vocals for Britney Spears' Lace and Leather, which is on her Circus album, and she was once again allegedly R-worded by Dr. Luke. And this time she said that he forced her to snort a substance before they got on a plane, and then he forced himself on her multiple times during that plane ride. And once again, supposedly he was threatening her, but she did again tell her mother. So her mom is the only one who knew about these 2 instances. And again, this is all alleged. January 27th of 2009, Kesha is on this major hit, Right Round, with Flo Rida. And actually, it was a complete accident that she was on the track. She just happened to be in the studio at the time, and he wanted some female vocals. And at the time, she got no money and no credit, but she said she really didn't mind because she was just starting out, and she said she believed in good karma. She knew that it would come back to her, and she did end up getting some credit later on. And it was right after she recorded with him that she decided to put the $sign in her name. Basically because she thought it was ironic and funny since she was so broke, and because she doesn't have any money, but she is money. Haha. In February of 2009, Kesha signed with RCA Records. And to be clear, she is still working with Dr. Luke. I know it's a little bit confusing. I'm not in the music industry either, but she's with Dr. Luke and RCA. And this label that she's under now, RCA, would eventually be Kemosabe Records, which Kemosabe is under RCA. RCA is just Sony. It's all just Sony. And then on August 7th of 2009, Kesha releases Tik Tok. And this song, I think, actually changed the minds and souls of young people everywhere. Being a hot mess was suddenly super hot and cool, and we all wanted to be the grungy, mysterious girl. Personally, between Kesha and Effie Stoneham, I had plenty of inspiration for my young life to put black all over my lids, to put aqua in the waterline, to douse myself in glitter. And it was the height of sexy. And please don't tell me otherwise, because I did that, okay? And at the time that TikTok was released, it was actually the highest ever digital downloads by a female artist in 1 week. Wow, this Taylor, Kesha's coming for your throne. Just kidding, nobody could do that, Taylor. You're fine. August 28th, 2009, Miley Cyrus's iconic album, The Time of Our Lives, comes out. And I mention this because Kesha, along with Claude Kelly and her mom PB, co-wrote The Time of Our Lives. And Dr. Luke also produced this album, which I'm sure is how they got connected for the songwriting as well. She also did an interview in 2009 where she talked about how she likes to dumpster dive for her clothing. So that trashy look that got her famous is literally trashy. How cute. So October of 2009, Kesha goes to the British awards show, the Q Awards, and it was her first visit to the UK, and she's caught peeing in the sink. She said she just really needed to go, and there was a ton of paparazzi outside, and she just went. And according to Kesha, she was not drunk. She just said, I know it's not the classiest move, but sometimes you gotta go, which it's classier than wetting yourself. So January 1st, 2010, Animal, the album, is released. And of course, Animal is such a bop, but Your Love Is My Drug, Steven made it on this one. Dinosaur, so good. As you can probably tell, I was truly obsessed with this album, and I stay on that obsession to this day. Blah 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 was her song with 303, which was iconic, and she and Benny Blanco actually produced it, and she said that that night that they produced it, they went to a hotel room, they got super trashed, and sang it, but they were so impressed with themselves the next day that instead of going to the studio to keep working on it, they got tattoos together.
You say I'm playing, I'm never laying the deal, saying blah, blah, blah.
Party at a Rich Dude's House is supposedly about a party at Paris Hilton's. Kiss and Tell was written because apparently Kesha found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her with another celebrity, and we never get to know who it was. But it's a bop. Unfortunately though, not everyone loved it the way that I did. A lot of people found her trashy and too wild, especially the parents that were observing their children singing lyrics about brushing their teeth with alcohol and wildly partying and having sex, and they're like 9. And she has said that maybe at times she overindulged in alcohol, and she does like to party a ton, but she's never going to lie about it, and she has never professed herself to be a role model for children. And she also said that alcohol has never gotten in the way of her work, so work hard, party hard. In January of 2010, Kesha does an interview with Us Weekly, and she lets us in on a little secret. And that secret is that her mother blended up her placenta from when she was pregnant with Kesha and put it into a necklace that Kesha now wears daily, which she says improves her intuition. In February of 2010, we catch Kesha and Adam Lambert making out just for funsies, and then Kesha performed on SNL in April. People really did not like it. They said that she seemed really drunk, that she sounded bad, and also that this is offensive to Native Americans to put yourself in glow-in-the-dark tribal paint. In April of 2010, also, Kesha poses for Maxim. So in her interview, she talks about presenting a Grammy with Justin Bieber earlier in the year, and she says that he's just so adorable. She just wanted to like push him around on stage in a stroller because he's just so like itty bitty little baby, little bitch baby. That's not, she didn't say all of that, but basically that's what she said. She later apologized, and just to be clear, she didn't actually call him a little bitch boy. That was me, I was just making a joke, okay? April 27th of 2010, Miranda Cosgrove releases Sparks Fly. And Kesha wrote a song on this album. It's called Disgusting. And if you haven't heard it, I urge you to go listen to it and comment your thoughts. This has nothing to do with what I'm about to say, but it's just hilarious to me that 17 magazine can manage to make anyone, even Kesha, look tame. Anyways, DAS, her former management, sues her and Dr. Luke. And this was breach of contract because according to them, even though the year mark came and went where they were supposed to get her a major record label, she actually waived that deadline and wanted to continue working with them. And they claimed that Dr. Luke intimidated her out of the contract, which basically took their 20% of the profits out. And in the course of this lawsuit, which most of it is sealed, so we can't know the full story, somehow Dr. Luke, R-wording Kesha, comes up. And my guess, based on the small bit of the deposition that we do get to see, is that Kesha's mom confided in DAS management that those things had happened. And although these are pretty specific accusations for DAS management to just be pulling out of their ass, when Kesha and her mom were on the stand, they both denied it.
I know what my mother told to David. I know that Dr. Luke never made sexual advances at me.
And of course, that clip was going to make it very difficult for her to come forward later on. May 22nd of 2010, 303 comes out with My First Kiss with Kesha. They had obviously been on Blah 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 before. They were connected through Dr. Luke. But supposedly, when she first met them, she called Sean a little bitch and said that she wanted to R-word the tall one, who I can only assume is Nat. And honestly, I was quite horrified to discover that she had said something like that, and I truly don't know what else to say about it. And then July 7th, 2010, Paris Hilton posts nude pictures of Kesha online. This is Lindsay Lohan. I just decided to use the picture of Perez with Lindsay. But in July of 2010, Perez posts pictures of Kesha online with her then boyfriend, who we only knew as Harold, nude. There's also a song about him on Cannibal, which is easily identifiable because it's called the Harold song. But after these photos were released, Kesha and Harold broke up, and she 100% blames Perez for this and pretty much hates his guts.
Her muse, Harold, broke up with her.
He single-handedly ruined the only relationship that's ever meant anything to me.
So that sucks for Perez to do. Also, let me know if you think that I should do a series on how horridly Paris Hilton has behaved in the past. I kind of want to, but I do not want him to come after me because I am afraid of him. Anyways, in August 2010, Kesha starts dating Alex Karapetis. He's a drummer. And in September, she shows up to the VMAs in true Kesha fashion. She is wearing a dress made out of a literal garbage bag. And yes, it does actually look very good. She has done this stuff before and she likes it. She has said that she never wants to be frivolous with money. She always wants to be able to dumpster dive for her fashion. Plus, she has described her style as trash can chic and sexy pirate. So I think that's a reasonable description of what she's doing here. In October of 2010, Kesha sues DAS management right back. And to be honest, she really one-upped them. She found that they were actually not a licensed talent agency, meaning that they weren't actually legally allowed to be finding her work in California. So really, the contract should have never been a thing. November 19th, 2010, Animal is re-released and we get Cannibal along with it. And now before Cannibal was a song on this app, it actually was not the most popular song on this album. The most popular song was We Are Who We Are, and it was a jam. And this brings up the other thing about Kesha's music that I think is very polarizing, and it's that Kesha talks about men the way that men talk about women, especially in these first albums where she's being very crude, very sexual. And I think that's one of the reasons that people found her to be so inappropriate and trashy, but really, most of them are listening to music by men making similar references to women. I will say though, Grow a Pair, which is also on this album, never really sat right with me. I feel like it's promoting harmful stereotypes for both genders. It is very catchy though, but it doesn't sit right. In November of 2010, Kesha and Alex Karapetis broke up, and she said that he was behaving like a woman, so she dumped him. So I guess we know who Grow a Pair is about now. And shout out to Alex for not letting toxic masculinity define his behavior in relationships. So in January of 2011, Bob Chamberlain comes forward, and he claims that he is Kesha's dad, and also that this is a picture of them together. And the real shocker there was that he said he was actually present in her childhood, which she has always said she never knew her dad. And he not only had pictures like this that he claimed were them together, but also letters where she was referring to him as dad, supposedly from her. And he said that they actually stopped talking around when she was 19, which was also right around the time that she started in the music industry. So he thinks that it was just a better story that she had no dad. Now, I don't know if this man is her father. I don't particularly think that her having or not having a dad is a huge part of her story, but crazier things have happened. She did tweet out very nonchalantly later on, though, saying that she was still working on her tour and she still didn't know who her dad was. So basically denying that this man is her dad at all. And that tour was the Get Sleazy tour, which the vibes of this poster really scream 2011. Like, we know it's 2011 without even me dating it. And in this tour, she performs Cannibal, and she actually pretends to pull a heart out of one of her dancers and drink blood from it, which may be super creepy, maybe super awesome. You decide. I cannot show you that video. It's on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure it's classified under gore on this app, so we're not gonna do that. March 4th, 2011, Till the World Ends by Britney Spears is released, and surprise, Kesha also co-wrote this song with Dr. Luke. In September of 2011, Kesha finishes the Get Sleazy tour, and she said she really needed a break, even though the label was apparently breathing down her neck trying to get her to keep working. She did take a little bit of time for herself, and then she pretty much went straight back into recording. Also in September, Kesha became the first global ambassador for the Humane Society. She's also been on some PETA campaigns with Iggy Pop. She's also a vegetarian. She cares a lot about animal rights. She's against animal testing, all of that stuff. And in October of 2011, Alice Cooper and Kesha collaborate on this song, What Baby Wants, in which Kesha plays a devil character. And honestly, their collaboration makes perfect sense because they both love the outrageous, and Alice actually said that she wrote some of the goriest lyrics in there. Alice Cooper also said that he feels like she would be on the same level as Janis Joplin if they were both still alive, which, holy shit, that's a high compliment. Also in their interview together, Kesha reveals that her music is partially a satire of teen America, which honestly, I kind of see. I mean, it's hard to tell at times whether she's being ironic and funny or if she's serious, but ultimately it's just supposed to be fun art, I think. And in November of 2011, Kemosabe Records is founded. And this was between Dr. Luke and Sony. So now Dr. Luke is the CEO of this, but Sony owns it. Next part.